Welcome. Thanks for joining me. It's good to have you here today. For the sake of everyone who's watching, if you'll just introduce yourself, let's start that way.
I'm Gina Gibson. I'm the CEO of the Evansville Christian Life Center.
Thanks.
And I am Stephen Ralph. I am the Director of Anti-Poverty Initiatives here at the Christian Life Center.
Good. Thank you. Talk to us a little bit more about your organizations and just kind of your day-to-day role.
Well, I've been here 18 years this September, and so was on the beginning end of our starting this program within our organization. Our organization was started in 1986 and more or less was a handout to those in need. Over the years, it started to morph and change a little bit. And when I came in 2006, shortly after that, we started looking at what does poverty look like in our community and how can we help move the needle. And so that's kind of how the work started. I really started questioning our mission and vision statements and really wanted to see change. And so I traveled across the country in 2008 to 4 different locations to just look at what does it look like in other cities.
Yeah.
And my role as the Director of Anti-Poverty Initiatives here at the Evansville Christian Life Center involves overseeing our Getting Ahead initiative, which we call GAIN, the Getting Ahead Initiative Network. And so we are actively engaged in meeting people where they're at and offering Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By-World, and then adding a lot of post Getting Ahead support to that to just really help folks to move forward and become more stable and self-sufficient. So I've been in this role for 12 years now, and we've done a lot of Getting Ahead cohorts, and I'm really proud of the work and the folks that we've served.
We have in our community, and so came up with our own, as Stephen said. Stephen has led that charge for the last 12 years, and we have it has been a huge blessing to us because it has changed the trajectory totally of who we are here at the Life Center. So it changed us from a handout agency to a helping hand up to someone who helps folks reach their potential. And that's what we see. We say, when I see you, I see potential. And so we know that every single person has that, and that's what we want for our community. And so that's what we've been doing. COVID really changed who we were. We continued our work, but COVID was very good to us. COVID exploded our work outside of our own walls. So we are now doing this in 5 counties.
It's amazing. After all the years, tell me some success stories. Talk to me about things that make you smile.
Oh my gosh. I need to do it without crying.
I'm right there with you. I understand totally.
I'm a big crybaby. So, I mean, I could tell you over and over and over the stories that we have seen. We have an end of year video that has a gentleman in there. He came from prison, came to us. He is one of our most besides Stephen, he's one of our most successful people in our program and continues to be today. He just finished his robotic and mechanical engineering degree.
Oh, wow.
And I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, it's not about the families just getting a little on the other side. They're completely changing their trajectory of their lives. Right. They are truly a huge part of our community now in making a difference and impact. And what does that look like from, the single mom who was in the Army, and she now is a homeowner and is totally successful in what she's doing, to looking at their children. I remember in one of our first cohorts, a lady said that generational poverty ends with me. My children will not know what that looks like. And it's because her children could model what they saw their mom doing. the changes they saw their mom doing, and not have to model after somebody who was still stuck in that place. And so Stephen can tell you, working with families, he can tell you directly even more stories than I can.
Yeah, and so I thought to give you a little bit of a background on how our Bridges Collaborative group got started here
Yeah.
at Southwestern Indiana. So I have some information that's provided by Lynn Kyle, who is the
Yes.
executive director of Lampion Center, which is a local therapy and counseling agency, but she is also the chair of our Bridges Collaborative group. And so we got started in our community with Bridges work back in 2004. And Ruby Payne was actually invited out through the Southern Indiana Network for Education. And she provided training to our local school corporations and educators. And in that training, there were left open a few slots for social service agencies. And it was after that training that Ruby did that a few of our social service leaders from agencies like the Lampion Center and Aurora and others decided that we needed to promote the Bridges work in our community. And so the Bridges Collaborative Group was formed, and there were 25 different organizations that financially contributed as sponsoring organizations to the start of our Bridges Collaborative Group. And so we have been wise stewards of our finances since then. We are a completely self-sufficient entity and have not had to ask our community for any more money to do the Bridges work. And we typically do 2 full community trainings every year, and usually serve about 80 individuals from different organizations in our community at those 2 trainings. And we do a lot of overviews as well, and some consulting work in smaller circles. So I got started with Bridges as a consumer. I was on the other side of things. I am not from Southern Indiana. And when I came to this community, I fell into homelessness. And I spent 2 years in homelessness. And it was during that period of time that I probably had my greatest aha moment. Certainly, there were things in my personal life, decisions I had made, choices I had made that had contributed to me being where I was at in poverty and being in Southern Indiana and trying to figure things out. But what I quickly realized is that it was far more than just me. That at that particular time, this was in 2008, our country at that time was suffering through the second greatest economic recession in our country's history. And so there was that to contend with, but there was also the community conditions. The fact that there weren't livable wage jobs available in our community, that the housing situation, which is still in crisis, was very difficult to navigate. And then on top of that, there were social and political and economic structures that were in place that were just making it really, really difficult to get ahead. And so that was really an eye opener for me. And in the process and in working with individuals who are trying to get to a better place in life, that's why this work is so important, because I've realized that without the constant feedback from individuals who are experiencing poverty and telling us what it is we need to know, that so we can become better as individuals, as institutions, and really have an eye focused on solving poverty in our community. I really appreciate Bridges and getting ahead. The fact that it keeps us ahead of the curve in that regard.
Okay, thanks. So tell me future plans. Now that you've had a little bit of time to build, are there, what's next?
Well, I'm a planner, and every time I plan, Stephen probably runs because I see so much vision for gain and what that looks like, not just to our county, but to all those surrounding us. So we live in a tri-state area that is very much like one big city. And so we have rural poverty and poverty in the city. And so it looks totally different. So, besides expanding finally after COVID, expanding into 5 counties, we're getting ready to move into gain in the workplace. And so we've been meeting with companies, and we think we found our sweet spot in our first pilot. And so we're really excited to not just go into nonprofit organizations or go into a church to do this, but to go into the workplace and really help with stability. We feel like ever since COVID, everybody's having retention issues. And we feel like a lot of the problems that we're seeing they just need gain. They need getting ahead in a just getting by world. And so getting ahead in the workplace is the perfect next step for us. And so that's what we see. We want to continue to grow our collaborative efforts here in our own county, but also in the surrounding counties around us.
Wow. Good for you guys.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's so important just to set your vision and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you had someone knock on the door or call you and say, hey, I hear you're doing this, and would you recommend it for my community? What would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that we've been doing this summer is we've put a framework together. So we have a packet. It's almost complete. And that packet will be able to take to funders to help fund our work, or to organizations and companies who want to start this work. So it tells them exactly what they do when we go into an area. First we identify a local agency, then we have what do we call them, Stephen? The meetings. I'm at a loss for words right now.
Oh, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. When we go into a next community, and we have listening sessions.
Stakeholder meetings.
Yeah. So when we have listening sessions and then stakeholder meetings, and to rally the community and bring everybody together. And so doing those beginning steps and literally having a plan to do that, I think makes things so much more successful.
Yeah. And I would add to that, from the perspective of our Bridges collaborative work, this is big picture stuff. And it's really important because if we're going to better serve folks who are experiencing poverty, or here's a novel idea, even solve poverty in America, and it's important that we reevaluate everything that we're doing all of the time, and that we're carving out space at our decision and planning tables for folks who are experiencing poverty to tell us what that is like, so that we can make the necessary changes to move forward. And so that's why this work is so important. And I wanted to add, with regards to what we're going to do as a Bridges Collaborative Group, is we're going to continue to offer community trainings and strengthen our foundation. And in partnership with what we've been doing at the Christian Life Center and expanding our GAIN initiative, we're going to, as a Bridges group, continue that work as well, and to see how we can continue to further collaborate and move into our 6th county. We're working on being in 6 counties now, getting ahead. So a lot of work ahead, but we're thrilled thus far with what we've been able to accomplish.
And the Bridges piece of it is what brings us all together, because it helps everyone to understand what poverty looks like, what everyone's understanding is a little bit different, their perspectives. And so it brings all of that to light and helps them understand the work more, so that they can help things move forward in our communities.
Wonderful. I'm happy to say that in 6-8 months, I want to knock on your door and say, tell me what's going on. Best wishes as you move forward.
Thank you.
Know that there are others out there rooting for you, and knowing that you're making great changes in your community.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for your time.
You too.
You're welcome.